Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here. Now be sure to watch Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV by subscribing on YouTube and following them on social media for all the latest Leicester City news and information. Come on you foxes!
Ho, ho, ho! It's Tuesday, it's 7:30, it's the preview show and it's Christmas week. Are we all feeling festive? Not a lot. Well, if we can't fill your stockings tonight, we're failing in our duty. Coming up, we've got a little matter of this. It is revenge. I remember my Man United fans laughing at me when they beat us on the last day and sneaked into that last Champions League place. Get rid of that. How did that go for you, Man United fans? Yeah, welcome to the Europa League and welcome to this.
You are watching Leicester Till I Die TV with Chris and Chums. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and Pinterest. All you need for everything Leicester City FC. It's Leicester Till I Die TV. Leicester Till I Die. Now available on Spotify.
We are all over the place. If you're watching us live, it's YouTube. It's the Leicester Till I Die TV. If you're on Periscope, Twitter, it's at Leicester TID. And if you're on Facebook, it's the group Leicester Till I Die. And if you are on Facebook, we're going to give that StreamYard link a little click. No cost and no registration. Just means that we can see who we're talking to. And we do want to hear your comments. So feel free to add your comments in and we'll bring them in and chat about them as we go through the night. And if you're listening on catch up, we're on Google Podcast. We are on Apple iTunes Podcast, Spotify and Anchor. And I discovered today a couple of others as well. So if you go along to the website, leicestertillidie.com, go on to the podcast page. It's in the index that goes across the top. You'll be able to see all the podcasts that we are on. Let's say a big ho, 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 and welcome in my chat chum Craig and say, good evening, Craig. Merry Christmas. Are you looking forward to your stockings being filled?
Good evening, Chris. Good evening, everybody. And of course, who isn't? I mean, it's Christmas.
It is. I'm old enough to remember when all you woke up in the morning with in your stockings was nuts and crackers. But maybe maybe that was just a dream. I don't know.
Well, I think there's every chance that you might still wake up with nuts in your stockings this morning, Christmas morning, Chris. But I'm not sure about the crackers.
Let's say welcome along to Ivan. Good evening, Ivan. Thank you for joining us, mate. We will be taking on Man United. I'll be watching it at the cinema in Rockall Village, Sierra Leone. Well, you're not going to have a white
Wow.
Christmas over there, are you? Enjoy it, mate. Let me just get rid of my dangly bit there. There we go. It's starting to annoy me. Let me go around like that. So, Craig, it's Man United. How are you feeling?
Well, I'm feeling good. I mean, we had a great win against Spurs. We've just passed the winter solstice, so it'll be summer before we know it. The nights are getting lighter. It's Christmas around the corner, and we've got the chance to get our revenge, as you so eloquently put it, on Man United. And I think, we should be confident, probably more confident now than we might have been after the previous result. But I think that's given everybody a bit of a boost, I think, that performance against Spurs.
It did. I mean, had we not had that performance, which again, and I keep saying this every performance is not what I'm expecting. We're beating teams that I'm thinking, I thought we were going to lose. I thought they were going to, put us to the sword. But we're winning those games and we're losing the ones that we're thinking that the ones we should be winning.
It is, and that just adds to the frustration, doesn't it? I mean, you think of the teams that we've beaten and the way we've played, and then you look at the home games that we've dropped points in. And I mean, the reality is that if you look at the points overall and you took away the points where you didn't think we'd get any, such as Man City, maybe Spurs, and we took them against Fulham and Villa, West Ham, then we'd be in the same sort of kind of space, but we'd all be thinking, happy days. It's just the fact that we've beaten a few decent teams that we all look about the ones that got away.
Yeah, and Rob, thank you for your stockings against Man United. Have you seen me in my stockings? I didn't realise pictures had got out. We'll move on. It's scary to think, though, Craig, where had we won the games that we should have, had we won the games we lost that we should have probably won, we'd be clear, wouldn't we?
We would be clear, and I would imagine that Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville still wouldn't be talking about us as a potential title winner. I don't think it matters what we do. I know they were chatting away last night, and they were putting together their top fours, and obviously we weren't in it because to be honest, I'm quite happy just chugging along without all the expectation. We just go about our business, and we'll finish where we finish.
In a way, though, and as you know, in this program, I play devil's advocate. I am the the Susanna Reid to your Piers Morgan. But when you look at what happened, I've got the moves. I'll tell you. When you look at what happened last season and how we dropped off, I've got to say, can you blame them for not including us in?
Not really, but I don't think anybody else, was that great as well at the end of it. They could have said the same, if you'd have had a slow start, that we've just carried that over. But the fact is that we didn't. We had a really good start. We've put all of that behind us. And if you just take it on the points that we've got on the board, plus the teams that we've beaten, we've beaten Spurs away, who, 2 weeks ago, before the last two games, they were all talking about Spurs as the champions. They were going to be the ones who really challenged Liverpool. We've gone away and beaten Man City, but still there's a lack of respect. I'm sure that everybody who watched the Spurs game felt a little bit like me. It was all, well, Spurs weren't very good, were they? Rather than we were really good. We had a great game plan that we stuck to, and we nullified Spurs, but it was still all about Spurs.
It was. Maybe we should just watch BT and Amazon instead, who at least sort of do give us some credit. Talking of which, and I nearly had a little bit of an accident earlier because I thought I'd done the graphic wrong. But the match, we do now say it is Boxing Day. You can only spend Christmas Day now if you're able to spend any time at all over Christmas with your loved ones. So an excuse to tell the wife you don't have to be with her on Boxing Day. You're going to watch the football instead. It's on BT Sport at 12:30. I had a feeling it was going to be Amazon.
Yeah, I wasn't sure who it was, to be honest. But we've been told that we're only allowed to spend Christmas with our closest loved ones. So that's exactly what we'll be doing. We'll be watching Leicester City.
I like it. I like it. Right, let's I'm just trying to multitask and it's not working very well at all. Let's have a quick 10-second break, and well, possibly a bit longer than that, and then we'll have a couple of views from those that are watching, and we'll head into the game against Manchester United. So here we go.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas, everyone!
Can you tell I'm getting a little bit excited about Christmas, Greg?
I can indeed, and I think you're becoming the new Steven Spielberg there, Chris.
Not without a little bit of help from Mr. Google, my healthy assistant. As somebody's put here, according to Jose, best team lost. I watched that and I don't know where he came from with that at all. All I will say, if you are watching this, Jose, and like Brendan, I'm sure he does, you know, he has got a bit of a film career for himself there, hasn't he?
I think he has. I thought it was interesting, though. I don't know if you watched the Liverpool Crystal Palace game. And apparently at the end of that 7-0 thrashing, Roy Hodgson said to Klopp that he thought the best team lost in that game as well. So good to see that boy has a humour. Yeah.
But, right, Man United, here we go. We played them 130 times in total, and we struggle against Man United over the years. We've won 33, drawn 29. We've lost 68. Bringing that into perspective, of the 28 that we've played whilst we've been in the Premier League, it doesn't make much better reading. We've only actually managed to win 2 of those.
That doesn't make good reading at all, does it? They are a bit of a hoodoo team on us, and I think, you know, I think in years gone past you could probably understand why. You know, we would have had an inferiority complex against the might of Manchester United, but in recent years, over the past few seasons in the Premier League, there's been no reason to do that, but for some reason we still do seem to have this inferiority complex. You've only got to look back at the last game of last season. You know, that was a Manchester United team that was ready to be beaten, and the prize was the Champions League. And again, we didn't turn up, you know, for whatever reason. As I say, you know, it's still Manchester United, whether they are, you know, further down the league or what. That name seems to hang like a chain around some of our players' necks. And, you know, and now's the time that we've got to start breaking off those shackles. And, you know, if we want to be a serious top six contenders, we've got to start beating these teams on a regular basis.
Yeah. And Rob, thank you very much for that. Thank you for your nice comments. And I hope you mean the drink there and not the other substance. I might have been able to have been grateful for some of that this week, I'll tell you. And I mean, we joke, but you and me are of a certain age, Craig. And if you go back to the pre-Ferguson years, again, they were not a team to be feared because, yes, they went out and they bought all the big names purely because they could, but they never bought a team, did they? They never bought, you know, they seemed to buy a player almost to stop Liverpool, who were the dominant force at the time, maybe buying them. But no matter who they bought, they couldn't get past Liverpool. But even then, like you say, it's just think about Man United. Maybe it's why we all hate them so much.
Maybe that's it. I mean, you know, they've had their times. I remember, well, I don't remember because even I was a bit too young. But I remember ex-player Dennis Law backheeling one in for Man City to relegate them.
Yeah.
So they have been down there in the lower leagues, and they had a decent team at the time as well. But there's just something about that Manchester United. They are, whether we like it or not, they are one of the biggest clubs in the world. Not necessarily one of the best teams, but they are one of the biggest clubs, and that does come with a certain amount of confidence that it should give every player who pulls the shirt on. I'm not sure it does at the minute, but as I say, now's the time that we need to start showing our own pedigree, and thing is, we can't expect the so-called pundits to be talking about us as a top 6, top 4 club if we don't believe it ourselves, and our players don't believe it, and they have to believe it and show it when they walk on the pitch against these teams. And they did that against Spurs, to be fair.
Castagna came out and gave a very positive interview. I'm not sure whether that was today or yesterday that somebody posted up. And, it's... let's have a look at, you mentioned earlier last season, those are the 2 games last season, the 1-0, like you say, when they beat us to get in the Champions League, 2-0 earlier on in the season, but they are no great guns, and yet, despite everything, and despite all the moaning Man United fans that there seems to be, for most clubs, what Ollie is doing is, he got them into the Champions League last season. They are sat 3rd this season. For mere mortal clubs like ourselves, we'd be quite happy with that, wouldn't we?
We would. Again, we talk about the level of expectation that there is now on Leicester City, and the level of expectation that Leicester City fans have about us. The level of expectation that Manchester United have to live under is immense. And as you say, they're sitting 3rd. If they won their game in hand, they'd go 2nd, and they'd be the nearest challengers to Liverpool, with a team that, by all accounts, if you believe everything and every pundit, are not very good, and they have a manager who can't get the best out of them. So if that's him not getting the best out of them, then
I know,
God help the rest of us when he does.
I know. This is it. What do they want? That they went. Because I just think, like I say, it is expectations from the fans. That leads me nicely into not needing an excuse to play this again, but just wanting to.
Get rid of Harry Maguire! Get rid of Harry Maguire! He is shit! He is absolutely shit!
I'm going to play that. I tell you, every Man United game, I love it. That and the Arsenal fan, I love it to bits. And that kind of sums them up, doesn't it, really? And I suppose if we paid 80 million and got a performance out of him, we wouldn't be happy.
Exactly. But again, I'm not sure. They obviously watch more than we do. They analyse it to the nth degree, and we lose to Fulham, we get critical of our teams. They lose to virtually anyone, and they get really critical of their players. And I work with a Manchester United fan, which is often great fun. But we have a chat, and we talk about Maguire and the way that he doesn't play like he played for us. But for me, one of the biggest things about that was the fact that we didn't have 2 defensive midfield players sitting right on top of the back 4 like Ollie seems to do. So Maguire was encouraged to come out with the ball. And that breeds his own confidence. When it seems to be at Manchester United, he has those 2 defensive midfielders, whoever they are, Fred, McTominay, whoever it might be on the day, are sitting right on top, and his job is to try and win it, which he doesn't do that often these days, and just give it to one of them. So I think he's being hampered from his natural game a bit. So, I can understand that Man United fans are probably not seeing the best of Harry Maguire.
It's not working. Let's bring this up from Rob. They've spent over 1 billion since Fergie left. that just when I see figures like that, it scares me. It really does. But going back to Harry Maguire, was Harry a better player than he potentially was, or a better player than he is now because of who was with him at Leicester? You look at Drinkwater. Mm-hmm. A lot of people have said Drinkwater is better because of Kanté. was Maguire better because of Morgan stroke Evans?
I think it is very often, a matter of who you're playing with as well, and whether you fit into the system, whether they fit into you. I remember, I'm sorry to say this, but I remember Dennis Wise coming to Leicester and looking very, very, looking very, very ordinary. He was at Chelsea where every time he got the ball, he had 2 or 3 options on the ball. You come here, it came to us. We didn't have a great team when Dennis Wise was here, to which he added. And he didn't have those options, and he was showing up a little bit. So, you've got to, players don't fit every team. They don't fit every formation. The way we built that back line. Go on.
Oh, are you with me? Yeah, you froze then for a second. Sorry. Can I just say one word, backing up what you're just saying there? Inacho.
Yeah.
How good was he?
Whenever he came on, he was having half a dozen clear chances created for him, and he was putting them away. Here the chances are hard to come by, and that's why it doesn't work, does it? And that's why you've got to, whether you like him or not, whether you like the team or not, you have to salute the way that Klopp does it at Liverpool. He doesn't. I've said this before. He doesn't buy stars. He buys people who fit the system. He finds pieces to fit the jigsaw, and then keep them functioning so that when one drops out, another one can slot straight in, and it doesn't have that effect on the team. I would imagine there's going to be players, who leave Liverpool who won't be as good as they were when they leave. And likewise, he's bringing in players who you would think, why the hell has he brought him in? But they work. They just work really well.
Like I say, going back to say the Man United of the 70s, 80s, when Liverpool was so dominant, buying players simply because they were a big name, not necessarily that would fit in. I mean, we played the video at the start, and it is there. I mean, they are, like you say, 1 point behind us. They have got the game in hand. No guarantee. This is the thing this season. There's no guarantee you've got a game in hand that any club's going to win that. It's not. I mean, I'll bring this up. Let me bring this up at the same time. The form guide there. It's pretty sort of similar. I mean, I know we've lost a couple, but they drew against Man City. But I mean, that win they had over Leeds, it kind of makes you think, doesn't it?
It does, but it also should give us optimism, because I think that game had something like, I don't know, 45 chances or goal attempts between the two clubs. And it was just a matter of the fact that Manchester United's finishing was much more clinical than Leeds was. But Leeds created a hell of a lot of chances against Manchester United.
Yeah.
I would say that we have better players, we have better finishers. So, and I think we've got a much better back line to be able to deal with him. So, yes, the result looks bad, or looks frightening, I guess you could say, 6-2. But, the amount of chances Leeds created, playing on the break the way that we do, should give us a bit of optimism that we can at least create chances against Manchester United. It's just whether we can take them.
Talking of, I mean, that's the thing. I was about to say, so if if Vardy doesn't score, who does? But then, Maddison got what should have been up there with one of the goals of the season. It literally was. I made a comment in another chat, how would French women footballers get on with the VAR, I'll leave everybody to work that one out for themselves. But, Madison's saying he needs to shave his armpit. I mean, it is ridiculous. But then, we got called back for the penalty because of VAR. Without VAR, that wouldn't have been given. But Maddison slowly looks like he might be getting back to that bit of form, that he had, that we remember him for. And we need somebody, because we can't rely on Vardy all the time, can we?
No, he's getting a bit of swagger back, isn't he? And I think we touched on this last week, that Brendan had come out and said he'd had regular chats with Maddison to try and give him his support, let him know what a good player he thought he was. And Maddison's definitely a confidence player. And I think, again, I touched on this before. I think last week we were talking about potential captains and what it would do to players. And I threw Maddison out there as a potential captain because I thought he, like Grealish, would thrive under that responsibility of being the centre of attention. I think that's what Maddison loves. And it's happening to him again, but he's putting in the performances, but he needs to do it consistently now. He can't afford to have a week off or 2 weeks off. He's got to do it consistently. But it's great to see him back and playing further forward. And I think that helps him a little bit as well, that he's not having to run around, covering around in the midfield, where he can think more proactively, more forward thinking. So he's almost playing that proper number 10 role now.
Because we know he's got goals in him, and we do need that. But the good thing is, after the Spurs game, no major injury. That's easy for me to say. No major injury concerns. Vardy seems to have come through it okay. It was maybe a bit of a twinge. Best to come off at that point. Castagne and Marty both seem to have come through it okay. But we have got to together.
Well, this is it. And when we move on to looking at the teams for these next couple of games, I think we will see quite a few changes between the two, just because of the short turnaround. I mean, it's 2 days. As much as we would like to start keeping a consistent team now, I think now we're getting our better players back. I think you have to be aware that, with a long season ahead, it would be foolish to try and look at one game and push players a little bit too far just to try and stay where we are. We're in a good position. Even if we had a couple of slip-ups over a couple of games, we're still going to be there or thereabouts. So I think it's really important that squad depth is important now. And I think the squad depth was really important in the fact that Vardy could come off. Any player now, it seems, who has any kind of little twinge, they're bringing them off because they know they're confident in the people who are coming off the bench.
And it is, and this was said, I think the last game was Amazon, wasn't it? And the guy that was commentating there said, might have been Robbie Savage, I don't know, but he was saying, no, it was Alan Smith. He was saying that we've got a squad now. We have got that squad. We're not, where before the first team picked itself and that was it. You say we can switch it all around, which very nicely for, and thank you for that, Craig, takes us into where you put on Brendan's shoes. Are they still fitting you?
They are. They're quite snug at the moment, but I'm wearing my thicker winter socks, so that may be the reason for that.
That could be it. And it might be difficult when we do Crystal Palace later, but to pick a team because we are sort of going ahead one game. But let's have a look at, and again, as I always say, that's not your choice. That's just the graphic there. But your formation and lineup for the Manchester United game.
Well, in Brendan's shoes, I think you cannot beat having a consistent team. Yes, when changes are forced on you, like they are with injuries or another game coming up, you have to switch it around. But I think on the back of that performance, I don't think there'll be too many changes to that team. And in fact, I've only made the one in the team that I've picked, and that is with a view to the next game and where the dangers may lie in the next game, the Palace game, rather than this Manchester United game. So I'm going with the standard 4-1-4-1, and the team is virtually as it was against Spurs. So Casper, James Justin, Fofana, Evans and Castagne. With Ndidi in front of him, who I thought was immense against Spurs. That was the Wilfred Ndidi of old. And all I can say is that we need to get Champions League football this season and enjoy Wilf while we can, because on that level of performance, there's going to be a lot of potential suitors banging at our door in the summer. Not necessarily winter, but I think in the summer.
Yeah. We don't have to sell. We're not a selling club now. And when you look at the training facility that's been launched today, I mean, those videos that are coming out, I mean, yeah, that is the training facility, and that is better than a lot of teams' grounds. It is amazing. And the future is blue.
It is.
Yeah. But, sorry, getting back.
Definitely.
Indeed, I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, so indeed, and then across the midfield, I've left Harvey Barnes in. I thought it was an improved performance from Harvey. He seemed to get involved a lot more, not just waiting for the ball. He was coming and looking for it, and he looked dangerous. Still, a few annoying misplaced passes or a poor touch, but I'll leave him in there. Maddison and Tielemans in the centre. Vardy up front. My only change for this one is I'm putting Albrighton back on the bench and I'm bringing in Under for this, because I think we should be on the front foot a little bit more on this one. Their dangers are through the middle of the pitch for me. They've got two decent fullbacks, but Wan-Bissaka's end product isn't great. Alex Telles on the left is a great player, but he's still finding his feet a little bit. And I think the way that they like to push on, we can exploit that space behind them. Maybe pulling Harry Maguire out of the centre to cover around Alex Telles. So I don't think they have that out and out left-sided double whammy, as it were, like Spurs have Son and Reguilon. You could argue that yes, Rashford and Telles are a strong left-hand side, and I definitely with Rashford coming in off that left, but that's why I've left James Justin over there. But I don't think him and Telles have that same telepathy, as for want of a better word, that Reguilon and Son have, that understanding between them. So I think for this one, I'm saving Mark for the next game, because I think he'll be more needed there, and I'm bringing in Under down that side.
And you do realise that Maguire's going to probably score the winner in the 94th minute. It's just written in the stars. It always is. But yeah, I love Under. I think Under deserves more starts. But Albrighton, he's done a job when he's come in, hasn't he?
He has, but I'm not sure, as I say, that he can play two games that close together. I think if he plays against Manchester United, he's not playing against Palace. And without jumping too far ahead, that sort of axis that Palace have of Wilf Zaha and Eze down that left-hand side is a dangerous one for me. And I think Albrighton will be much more useful in trying to stop the ball getting to Zaha against Palace than he will be for in the Man U game. That's why I've left him out of this one.
So, yep, and I think 4-1-4-1 is probably the best formation that we have. I think we play better with the back four, and I think that formation is the one that's done well for us when we've used it. Asking you to take Brendan's shoes off now, and then asking you to polish your crystal ball, or two crystal balls, however many you've got, but get them polished. We're looking at score predictions. We're all feeling a little bit more confident, but like I say, tempered with the fact that it is Manchester United. Again, what do you guys that are watching think? I mean, the ex-players here, Steve Walsh, always very confident. I love that in Steve. He's gone for a 2-1 win. Steve Lynex tempered that a little bit with a 1-1. Marshy, as honest as ever, he's not afraid to pop against us, but he's gone 2-3 with United sneaking. That's probably that Maguire 94th minute goal to sneak it. I've gone for a 2-2 draw. I'm going to be honest with you against the Red Devils. 2-2 draw because, like I say, simply because of the history between us. What are you going to go for, Craig? And if you say 3-2, I'm going to put my hand through the screen and drag you through.
Okay. To be honest, I think 2-2 is not a bad shout. Particularly, I think there'll be goals, and the fact that we haven't had a draw this season.
No.
And the way that we've been going, a draw at home to Manchester United with our home form would be a good result. I just think that 3-2 might be the score, Chris, and we're going to sneak it.
You're 3-2 to be honest with you, right? Can I just say now, and I'm going on record here, and I know we're like a third of the way through the season, which we're a little bit behind because of how it's all played out this season, of course, with COVID. For the rest of the season, you are not allowed to go 3-2. because you were going for that every week until we win a 3-2. But no, that is banned from now on.
I thought I'd been going for 3-1s more often than not.
Was it 3-1? I know there's a 3-something. But right, so we're going to come back. So we're going to come back in 1 second, and we're going to have a look at your classic game, which I've managed to avoid mentioning all show. I think people may have an idea as to what it is. A bit of a quiz in there, which will show my knowledge up to be as bad as it is. But we're back in 1 second.
This is Chris from Leicester Till I Die. Thank you for watching and listening. Have a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Don't do anything I wouldn't enjoy.
Indeed. So, Craig, Leicester City, Manchester United, classic match. Let me.
To be honest,
what did you go for?
Well, I mean, there can only be one. That 1997 0-0 draw in March.
The classic, yeah.
Yeah. No, obviously, as most people would expect, 21st of September, 2014, the newly promoted Foxes, who were ready to be put to the sword by Manchester United. And, I mean, anybody who was there, it will go down, I'm sure, as one of their top 10, top 5 games of all time. The whole day was amazing. As I say, it was one of our early games in back in the Premier League, and when we went a goal down quite early on, you thought, it's not going to be a good day, and then we went 2 down. But the fact that we got that Ajoa goal back pretty quickly to go 2-1 gave us all a bit of belief. It got the crowd going, and we thought we could do something. Obviously, that was tempered a little bit early in the second half when Herrera, I think it was, scored with a back heel to put them 3-1. But then, the most amazing comeback I think most of us have ever seen, probably outdoing the Mark de Vries late winner from last week against Spurs. To come back and score, I think we scored 4 goals in 20 minutes or something. Cambiasso banged one in, which was great to see. And, for us to run out 5-3 victors in that game, just, almost gave us that belief that this wasn't going to be a bad season. In the end, it turned out to be an amazing season for the Great Escape. But we had some bad times after this Manchester United.
It all went wrong because I remember I had a season ticket. And as you know, I live down in Poole, Bournemouth, so it's like a 7.5-hour return journey. And I thought, after that game, this is it. Like you say, this is going to be a big season for us. And we lost. And that journey, every time coming home, having lost the game, but it did make the survival so much better in a way. Because it happened.
It did. I mean, it was just an unbelievable game. The way that we turned that around, and we showed that we could live with teams at that level. And as you say, you touched upon a little quiz that I'm going to put out there for people. So obviously, Chris, you're in control of what answers you show, and whether you know the answer or not. If you do, it makes it easier for you to not put up the correct answer if somebody comes up with it early on.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you the starting lineup of Leicester City for that Manchester United game back in 2014, and I want you to tell me who is missing. So This was the lineup. So Schmeichel, Delat, Wes Morgan, Liam, he's one of our own, Moore, Paul Konchesky, Danny Drinkwater, Cambiasso, Ajoa, Nugent, and Vardy. So who is missing from that starting lineup from the 5-3 game against Manchester United?
Did Nugent? I mean, I was there. This is always the embarrassing thing. This is the start. Did Nugent start the game? Obviously did, because you put him in there. But it's amazing how. So we've got Casper.
Scored a penalty.
He did. I know. Yeah, I know because Vardy, I think, had gone off at that point, hadn't he?
No, that was Ulloa, I think.
That was Ulloa's. Yeah, that was Ulloa's penalty. I remember that game. I was with my son that game, and I was just looking then on the website LeicesterTillIDie.com. We have a page favourite match where there's a few matches I put up every now and again that people can sort of choose what their favourite match was. And second place with 9.8 was the 9-0 win over Southampton. But in top place, it was 10-0. 10 points was the Leicester Man United game that you were talking about.
Yeah.
And I will, even though I didn't include the one score of 1 given by the Man United fan that's in the group. So the team that you've read out, Kasper, Konchesky, Liam Moore, Wes Morgan, Richie Delat, Ulloa, Drinkwater, Cambiasso, Nugent, Vardy. There's a couple in there. I must admit, I thought it was going to be the likes of somebody like Moore or Delat that you were going to leave out. I know I should know this. Yes, in fact, I think somebody has just put the answer there, and I think they are very, very correct. And I feel embarrassed because I know this guy, and he did do the 5 favourite things for the website as well. But just while we're waiting to see if anybody else comes up with what player was missing from this starting lineup against Man United in the 5-3, we've got Kasper, Konchesky, Moore, Morris, Delat, Ulloa, Drinkwater, Cambiasso, Nugent, Vardy. I'll be honest with you, I would have been sat here all night and I would have not remembered this guy. But I'll bring it up in a minute. But you were obviously there as well, Craig. Yeah. And my abiding memory of that is the fact that I ended up in some poor lady's lap who sat next to me. Now, I don't know her. I knew her as much as I saw her at every home game because she was a season ticket as well. But we went to I can't remember what goal it was. But one of the goals we cheered so much that me and my son knocked into each other. He passed me back. I know there was a lady behind me. I think I went back over the seat into her lap, and she cushioned my fall. You know what I mean? Bless her.
That's your excuse anyway, Chris. Yeah.
Right, yes. Well, she was behind me, so I don't know. Couldn't see what she was like, you know. But bless her. It was one of those I was there moments, wasn't it?
This game was shown by Sky 3 or 4 weeks ago on their classic matches, and I was flicking through the channels and it was on, and I think it was only 5 minutes in. I ended up watching the whole game again into the early hours of the morning. I mean, just fantastic game, some great goals. I mean, the goal that I can't even remember his name. The French guy scored where he scooped it over Kasper was just Di Maria. Yeah, Di Maria's goal was fantastic. You know, it was a great goal, and
I remember
but just
applauding that because it deserved it. Yeah, you know. But you mentioned then, I've got to bring him. He's one of my favourite guys, and he very kindly did the favourite things for the website as well. Even though he was in Mexico, I don't know where he is now. Leo Ulloa. Don't we miss somebody like that can come on now? You know. Right, I'm going to read it out one last time. We've got a couple of correct answers. Who is missing from this lineup? Craig's asking for the Leicester 5, Man United 3 game. Kasper obviously in goal. Konchesky, Moore, Morgan, Delat, Ulloa, Drinkwater, Cambiasso, Nugent, and Vardy. And Andy's just said here, good evening, Andy. Thanks for joining us. I was sitting in L1 next to the United fans. What an atmosphere. I will never, one of the abiding memories of that match for me, I don't know about you, Craig, was Van der Gaal after, you know, when he was sat there with Ryan Giggs, he just got his head was in his hand when it was losing. It was, like I say,
from their perspective, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, you know. No, they had the young lad, what was his name, Blackett, sent off. 2 penalties. You know, it was just, you know, it's just one of those days, and I'm sure Man United fans will remember it for all the wrong reasons, but it will live in their memory as well. It was just an all-round fantastic match.
Right. Well, we've got two correct answers. Andy Medhurst has got it correct, and I'm saying that. I'm just thinking like, yeah, it was him. Of course it was, But of course, I could be wrong. But coming in first with the answer, and I've got to be honest with you. Like I say, I would have been sat here all night and not got this. We're going to give this to Rob. I think he's got it correct there, hasn't he?
He has. It was Dean Hammond, and you know what? When I watched that game,
just to show, Andy Medhurst did get it as well there. Well done to both of you.
Yeah, when I watched that game back on Sky as a classic match, I was amazed to see him playing. I forgot that he was playing as well, and the fact that we won that game 5-3 with Dean Hammond in the middle of our midfield is astonishing. Bit of a workman, and he did a job for us.
He did he? He wasn't the most loved player there, but he had that experience. He could hold the ball up and just calm things down. He was that old experienced head, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Talking of old experienced heads, I am going to say thank you very much, Craig, for tonight's show. And I don't know about you, but just to prove my ex-wife wrong and show that I can do things twice in one night, we're going to be back. We're going to be back filling more stock in 10 minutes. We're going to have a bit of a break just to have a drink and upload all the new graphics and what have you. And we're going to be looking at the Crystal Palace game because that comes on the 28th, quite quickly after Christmas. And we need a break as well. We need a break. Craig, thank you very much, mate. I will see you in about 10,
You're
15
welcome.
minutes.
Thanks, everyone.
And thanks a lot, guys, for joining us. Like I say, give us about 10, 15-minute break. We're going to be coming back and we are going to be looking at the Crystal Palace game, which hopefully we'll be looking at our second win out of 2 over the Christmas period. Well, let's hope Santa does bring his wishes.
Guess?
Thanks, Jose. See you in 15 minutes, guys. Take care of yourself.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye and see you next time.
Shut up and sit down.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too or I'll be back.